Hi there. Welcome to Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. We're so glad that you're here with us. Welcome today. I'm going to go right into the guest after I talk for a minute about Father Shawn. Father Shawn is a priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. You may know him from Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, which is now being shown also on Max and Discovery Plus, and you can catch up on all the episodes. Father Shawn is also an author. He has two really super interesting and intense books called God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, um, volumes 1 and 2. And those are collections of his stories and very, very interesting, very good books. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here with us today. His wife is very ill. We do have a GoFundMe for her. Um, Her name is Sharon Whittington. I will put the link in the chat for anyone, and we so appreciate all your prayers and all your donations. It means the world to us, and we thank you so much for that. I am going to bring on right away, and I have her here sitting. We're doing the Miss America way. Heather Leigh. Heather Leigh is an author. Heather Leigh is also, you have Ghost Education 101,
Mhm.
and you have all my little yellow notebooks here. You have Exploration Paranormal. And besides that, you've written quite a few books about hauntings in Nevada and Florida. The last time that you were on with us, we talked about haunted Florida lighthouses, ghost ships, pirates. That was so cool. I don't think, did we ever talk about the Nevada, like ghost towns and the other things you wrote about?
I don't think so.
And Heather also wrote an article for our Help Me I'm Haunted book that we did last year and put out around Halloween time. And she wrote about shadow people, which is just the most fascinating subject. But you've done actual um, experiments, research
Mhm.
studies, so it's not just, I don't want to say not just opinions and sound snotty, but the reason I'm saying that is because there actually are a lot of opinions
Mhm.
about
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't really know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe we could start. Do you want to start off talking about shadow people?
Yeah, there, like you had said, there's 100, if not thousands, of different theories out there as to what they are, who they are, why they appear, and like almost kind of like some people have theories that they're the minions of the Hat Man, which a project that I'm working on is called Project Umbra, and we are actually on the search for the Hat Man, and we have several. Gee, I'm trying to think. We had thousands of people respond to our surveys, and we've compared all the surveys of people's experiences with either the Hat Man or shadow people, and we're noticing that there's a connection, that it's usually during when people are stressed, when just before disasters happen, and there are also a lot that are tied to missing 411 cases. So it's kind of
Mm,
interesting to see how a lot of negativity surround them, but then we also have almost the same amount of ones that say they felt comforted knowing that there was a shadow person sitting there or watching over them. I've had 4 encounters with shadow figures directly, and each time there was only one time that I felt a little threatened, but nothing happened. He was just watching. So it's kind of interesting to see other people's stories and how they all connect.
I'm wondering too because as human beings and mere mortals, like they might all look like they're a similar thing, but they might not
Mhm.
be a similar thing. We're
Right.
just doing that because we're like, oh, they, are all, we'll call them all shadow people and
Mhm.
they'll all be the same thing, but I'm not so sure that they are. We got
Mhm.
Carl here with Happy Friday. Hi, Carl. We'll give Carl a heart. We love Carl. Carl's our Bigfoot guy. We got Golden Cougar Wolf saying hello to everybody, and thanks for joining us. Um, but you know what I mean? Like, this is our human brain goes, these things are alike.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decide that.
Right. It's almost kind of like, and a motivational speaker I was listening to one day almost made this light bulb go off in my head. But he was talking about how you don't pay attention to what's going on around you until you're focused on one specific thing. So identifying different types of shadow people would be no different than you driving down the highway every day. And okay, yeah, you see a lot of cars, but when you think back on the experience of seeing all those cars, they all look the same.
Right.
Because they're just vehicles. You didn't,
Right.
pay attention that, oh, that was a Chevy, that was a Ford, that was
Sure.
a pickup truck. You don't pay attention to that when you're driving. And that could be the same thing with some of these encounters with shadow people.
My daughter said the same thing learning about trees.
Yep.
She said it used to be like you just saw clusters of trees and you saw a forest, and it was like pine trees and then regular trees.
Yeah. Yep.
Until you learned about trees
Right.
and knew what you were looking at, and the world, the richness of the world jumps forward at you, and now you don't see it flat like that. It's a flat way of
Right.
looking at things. And like the shadow people, there's been some really crazy Hatman stories. Um, but usually what I run across with people that ask me about are the kind of hauntings where you see like shadows flitting by in the corner of your eye, or they
Yeah.
look like they're going across the wall, almost fast mice.
Right. And one of those, it's kind of hard to say because very scientific on my end. So, it's with paranormal, it's hard to be as scientific as we would like to be. And flitters in the eye, there's so many scientific things that could write that off as, a migraine can cause you to have, even though your head doesn't hurt, but a migraine can cause, the white flashes or the dark flashes that pass by. But I would say about 90% of the encounters that people talk to us about are, I swore I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and then when I looked, they were gone. And that could be as simple as, one theory we have is that, they show up when you're not paying attention. And the minute you try to focus on them, that's when they either become invisible or, slip back into whatever dimension they're coming from.
Yeah, they're like crazy fast.
Yep.
It's you saw it, but it's just like,
right.
And sometimes it can look like it was a lot of
them. Yep. Yeah.
And there's people that tend to think that that's bad or a bad omen.
Yeah.
The experiences that I've had with people saying that their hauntings were other than friendly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really love that you wrote in the book about it for some clarity, because there's people, they ask, do you think those are human spirits? Are they demons? Are they something other? I don't know.
For me, I think it's a mix of everything.
Okay.
And I know one theory that's out there, because when we had an apartment, 18 years ago, it used to be an old cornfield. And I'd see from our front door going into my son's bedroom, because he had the front door and his bedroom door was right there. So you immediately turn and there's his bedroom door. And I would see a shadow figure in the beginning, and he would just run from the front door to his room. I didn't feel threatened, so I wasn't worried about it. And, I'd go in his room, nobody would be in there, nothing would be there. But then over time, the more I started focusing on him, I started getting features. He was, barefoot, wearing overalls, a big, tall, farmer type looking guy. So I figured, it's a spirit of a person who used to work the land type of thing. But then there's other people in other instances. I had one that appeared, I think I wrote about this one in the book, appeared at the foot of my bed. And it was the only time that it felt somewhat threatening and non-human, because I had a dream that the shadow figure was, in my room telling me, don't go on your next investigation. And then I woke up and he was standing at the foot of my bed.
Oh, and wow.
In that instance, I don't think that was human.
Oh, wow. Yeah. My first shadow person, I think it was human, and a very strange communication where I could hear his voice talking to me in my head. but
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't any sound.
Yep.
Um, I don't know if you've ever experienced that one. Just
Mm-hmm.
totally quiet in the room, but you not only hear words, you hear it in someone else's
Yeah.
voice. When
Yeah.
you see something standing there,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I don't know.
Yeah.
I've even heard people say maybe these are aliens, but we all just like to talk about aliens now. I can't
Mm-hmm.
dismiss that or
Yeah. And one thing in our research at that my partner and I we always joke about is the experiences that we're seeing also circulate around kids or people who are Rh negative.
oh,
And
that's interesting.
right, so we're seeing a lot of that, and it reminds me of the movie Knowing, where these people just showed up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the kids were getting whisked off before the end of the earth.
Oh,
So that's another theory that something like that movie that they could be watchers, protecting the children, and almost like picking who they're going to take if they are aliens, who they're going to take with them when the world ends.
I did not see that movie, but it sounds really interesting. I
Nicolas
think
Cage stars in it.
is it good?
It's really good.
What year do you think that came out about?
Oh, geez, I want to say early 2000s.
Okay, because I'll probably look for it for something to
Mm-hmm.
check out and see.
Yeah, it's been a while
Um,
since I've seen it, but yeah, it was really good.
we had another experience with a shadow person, and this one was very strange because, well, the whole thing was very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a team of us got asked to come in because of a haunting, and I have to tell you this part because you'll think it's funny.
Yeah.
The guy had a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to redo the upstairs, and the workers kept quitting because they were throwing pieces of brick at the workers and hiding their tools. And it was really awful, and they would quit. He also had a basement. He also had a tunnel that he said was haunted. Um, but he swore the restaurant was not haunted,
Mm-hmm.
just the upstairs and the basement and the tunnel. And so I thought that that was kind of funny. I'm like, wow,
The restaurant's just too busy for him to see what's
right.
happening.
That's what it is with the noise. And unless something were really, really overt, he don't want it to be haunted, is what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Or
And
he stood his ground and they stayed away.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe he made some conditions in this, but also a funny part was like you could go in the haunted tunnel if you want to, and it's like, hey, I'm good. I don't like the haunted tunnels. Like the idea of haunted tunnels, like no, no, thanks. It goes across the street. I'll be halfway through, and something will happen, and I'll be freaking out. And no, thanks. I like. There's people that really want to experience something really bad, and there's other people that are there to just sort of help. And
Yeah.
my
And,
thing is
and
squirt
I
some
can
holy
tell,
water down there and nail that crap shut.
no. And I'm one of those people that I've been physically attacked and picked up and thrown.
Oh God,
And people who tell me, oh my God, I can't wait for that to happen to me. It's like, no, no, you don't.
I'll be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly.
For
Because I
sure.
didn't even wish for it. And at that point in time, that was, I don't want to say in the beginning of my paranormal research, but it was the beginning of my going out in the field and
Okay.
doing more stuff. And it was a scary moment. And it was time slowed down so bad for me. It's probably only took less than 5 seconds, but it felt like it took an eternity.
Yeah. And that's a funny thing too with people when they recount something that happened to them. Even 35 years later, they'll tell it exactly the same perfect way.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
crystallized in their mind.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
At that moment, exactly what happened, exactly
Mm-hmm.
what it was like. And we got a picture from the upstairs. Here's Heidi. Hi,
Oh,
Heidi.
hi, Heidi.
We love Heidi. We got a picture from the upstairs. We did not see the shadow man with our eyes, but he
Okay.
was standing there in the hallway really close to us
Mm-hmm.
and semi opaque, very big.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was towering over us. He had to be 6.5 feet, 6.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
and orbs all over the place. And it's almost like he was just leaning there listening and trying
Yeah.
to see what's up and all that. What are they talking about? I mean,
Observing.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so this is a case of one that we did not see him right
Right.
there, but there he was.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We had that. It was a mine in Nevada, in Goldfield. And I was just snapping photos of the room, and you would see a shadow figure, and it looked like he had a hat on. And that's kind of what started my research into the Hat Man. And he was on the outside of the building through the window. And we
Mm.
even did a full walk around, because the minute I took the photo, I was like, look at this. And so we did a walk around to make sure nobody was outside, and there was nothing outside that could look like that's what it was. But then we started taking photos inside again, and it appeared again in, like, I think 7 or 8 photos later. And it was less than 2 feet in front of the camera. Like, he was saying, yeah, I'm here.
Wow. That's crazy. And like the Hat Man stories are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you find in common with your Hat Man story?
Yeah, the biggest commonality is people feeling threatened. There's
Yeah.
about 5% who are comforted when he's around, but 95, even my partner on the project, she had a confrontation with him when she was younger. And the way she tells the story, I mean, all of a sudden a white ball of light came into the room and lit up the whole room, and he shrieked and ran away. So something intervened and saved her, but her and her sister felt really threatened during the whole incident. Um, our project, before I joined the project with her, there were 3 other people working with her. And throughout the years, they would drop off one by one because bad things would happen in their life, whether it was financial, family, health, and they all tied it to the Hat Man. Saying
Wow.
about a week after I joined the project, I have sleep paralysis. It's medically a medical condition. I know I have it. I know it comes and goes. But whenever I have it, I'm never afraid. But there was one night shortly after I joined the project that I woke up and I could feel something crawling in my bed.
Mm.
And I tried to roll over thinking it was my dog, but I could hear her snoring on the floor next to me. So I knew it wasn't
Mm.
her, and I couldn't move. And I could feel the mattress with the impressions of someone crawling up the bed. And I tried to turn to my husband to scream for help, and I was emotional. I was stuck. I was trapped. And it was the first time, and I've had sleep paralysis since I was a teenager. So the first time in over 40 years that I ever felt scared having it. And so I tie it to that. But I woke up the next morning, told my partner about what happened, and she's like, well, I understand if you want to back out. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I don't bow down to bullies. And that's what I think he is.
Right. Well, it's not funny, but I was about to say Hat Man's kind of like tequila.
Mm-hmm.
No good story ever starts with tequila or Hat Man. It just,
No.
bad.
Yeah.
Just
And
bad.
that's one of our projects is we're trying to find, that's why we're taking in all these stories, because we're trying to find locations where he commonly appears, like public locations.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to go not seek him out in the aspect of how the TV shows do it. We're going to seek him out to see if he'll make an appearance, just that way we can prove he's real.
So, do you have any areas where you get a lot of reports? First of all, let's say hi to Christy Cesare because he's in the chat. And that's really sweet that he popped in and he's listening. He said,
Mm-hmm.
2 well-respected people are on my PC monitor right now. Excellent show.
Hello.
Yeah, we just love him.
Yeah.
So, are there any geographic? I don't want you to give an actual address, but that there's a lot of reports of appearances. And okay, we got somebody saying Black Forest, Colorado is where I saw him, along with a hound.
We've heard several stories of it's almost like a greyhound and Irish wolfhound mix. And people have said that the dog stands 4 to 5 feet tall. So the dog is just as tall as, because the Hat Man has been reported to be like 7 to 8 feet tall.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And could you imagine seeing? But yeah, I know in my research for, well, which one? It was Haunted Florida. It was my Florida Ghost Towns book. That one. And then the other book that I have that's not out yet, it's about Civil War sites in Florida. Researching
Oh,
both of those,
interesting.
there were 2 forts in Florida that I found several reports of people, whether it was on a blog or, just going to Reddit and searching the location, and people have been reporting, that's where we get a lot of our start for the research. And there's 2 forts that we want to go back to in Florida.
Your Florida stories were fascinating, and I don't really want to get sidetracked off of the shadow people thing, but I got stories from people talking about like a tar man,
Mm-hmm.
like look like a shadow person but looks shiny and goopy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you heard anything like that?
I've had some people say that, and then at the same forts, people have reported that. So, and these forts are near swamps, so it's almost one of those, you wonder if it might be part cryptid, maybe even just because of the description they give of them. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've even had reports that he makes an appearance in an ice cream truck, like an old 1950s ice cream truck or 60s, the old school ice cream trucks, or he's dressed as a milkman. Some people have seen reports of that he disguises himself. And in our surveys, our surveys are from around the world, and they're not simple. Have you seen the Hat Man? Yes or no. Where were you? It goes in. It's like 200 questions. It's how old were you? What were you doing at the time? Describe him. And we've noticed geographically, like over in the Western states, he's wearing a cowboy hat. In the New England states, he's wearing like an old British soldier type hat. It's just kind of, some people have reported him wearing a sombrero, or, an old China, the rice hat, the hats that they wear in the rice fields in China comes over from, over in that area from Asia. So it's just real interesting how the hat is area specific.
Oh, it's clever and devious. But okay, so this is a whole horror film.
Mm-hmm.
I got a guy, if you're listening, take a note on this one. The Shadow Man, or even Tar Man, disguises himself and he's driving an ice cream truck to your neighborhood.
Yep.
That's horrific.
Yep.
I mean, truly horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Then the question behind that would be why? It would be to lure little kids.
Yep. And we're also thinking he's trying to make whoever he wants to become his victims comfortable with him.
Yeah.
And it's 2 things. We have 2 avenues, because our research doesn't just end with, okay, here's our research. It goes, well, what could this mean? And we go down so many rabbit holes. It's not even funny. And 2 main theories we have is, the first one is he's trying to make people comfortable with him by dressing in attire that is from their culture. The other one is that he might just be an egregore, and people are manifesting him based on their culture.
I love that you brought up egregore. That is super fascinating. Mm-hmm. And people talk about that from time to time. But if you don't know what that is, this is a very scary thing, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a created thought form.
Yep.
Yep. Like, if you had a whole bunch of people together and they all decided that this thing is a real thing, and they could actually make that, I don't know how long it takes, but they actually are manifesting from their own thoughts and beliefs.
Yep. Yeah, and it can be very scary too, because I mean, I did a lot of research on the Philip experiment, and that it's thinking of how that could happen. Just make up a story about someone, tell it over and over and over, and then next thing you know, he starts manifesting. We haven't figured out what the hat represents. I'm thinking, because another one of our theories is that he is almost like it's a hierarchy thing, and the shadow people are his little minions, So he wears the hat to identify him, almost like kind of like a king wears a crown, is
Yeah,
one
yeah.
theory that we have. And his clothing is usually just a trench coat.
Yeah, that was Chris's question. He said, I'm in trouble. I love ice cream trucks. What do you think the hat represents? Does the clothing match? And that's an interesting question. And, you know, she's saying trench. Yeah, okay, so imagine you're a shadow person. How do I fit in? I know. I'll get a sombrero. That'll do it.
Yep,
Like it's
I know. And that's why we think it could be, either he's really clever, he's really stupid, or he's just a self manifestation.
but he is trying.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing a little effort. But the
Yep.
egregore thing, so when you're dealing with something like that, I would think that that gets to be a little bit hard to prove because how do you know that, like, for example, what if people were kind of psychic and there was something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough call because more research needs to go into egregores too on top of it, because some of our stories have reports. If you think about like some of the creepy pastas come out, they're the ones that create the egregores that have happened, and you have a definitive, this is when it started and this is when the first experience happened. But we have petroglyphs that show the Hat Man, and some of them are, we've even found some in Nevada when I was out there. Egyptian hieroglyphs have the Hat Man in it. So it's far beyond a self manifestation, because these are two different places on opposite sides of the world, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, and where the research needs to go is, can an egregore, can a thought form harm somebody? Because some people have reported being harmed by the Hat Man. And if you think about it, could a thought form have enough energy, to cause harm?
We've got Golden Cougar Wolf saying, I never expected to see him, and he was in a cowboy hat. I'm a Youper, so he wasn't dressed like us. The
Mhm.
Black Forest is scary. What is a Youper?
I don't know.
We don't know what a Youper is.
I've never heard that term before.
We need help, Golden Cougar Wolf. We're kind of dorky. We don't know. But the Black Forest, that's interesting too. I thought the Black Forest was like somewhere in Germany.
I think so. I know there's crap. Yeah, I can talk all day about ghosts, but when it comes to geography, I'm lost. Yeah, mountain range in Germany.
I get a star. Maybe he'll say more about it.
Yeah,
But,
next
for some reason, I'm thinking about, you remember when we were kids and they had that thing about Mary Worthy and look in the mirror and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be terrifying.
Yep.
And you would hear these stories. You don't know if they're urban legends or what. But the reason that I thought of that, he said, Upper Peninsula, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Black
I should
Forest.
know that. I have family from there.
Oh,
Black
he
Forest,
meant the
Colorado.
UP. He's a Youper from the UP.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Hey, there's a lot of Bigfoot up there too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah, they're up there,
Mm-hmm.
plentiful. Oh, what I was gonna say. So I was thinking about that Mary Worthy thing, and it's kind of like with some of these urban legends. Could you actually make this happen? Did it actually happen? Is it just a story? If enough people believe in it, would like some hideous woman come out of your mirror at you?
I can tell you, I don't know if it's happened for other people, but I was always that kid, and that's probably why I do what I do. But I was that kid. You tell me an urban legend, and I try to prove it wrong.
Oh,
So
okay.
I would stand there in front of the mirror, and I would say the name 3 times, and nothing happened. And I even
Oh,
had a friend spending the night when we were doing it, and she took off running out of the house and went home because she
yeah.
was so afraid.
It was actually really scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that went around a lot. I'm probably older than you, but that was real prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a lot of urban legend stories. Like, I don't know if this is something that, you have anything to say about it, but There's usually a haunted bridge story in every
Yep.
town. And I was at one of these, and something actually happened when I was there.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, there's a haunted bridge story in every
Yep.
town. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the story behind this was called Crybaby Bridge, right
Mhm.
outside of Springfield, Ohio, in a little town named Pitchen. Don't go there. Don't go there. So the story is that there's an accident, and there's a married couple and a baby, and the car goes over the bridge, and now for all eternity, this woman's looking for her baby.
Mhm. That sounds
So
familiar.
if she approaches you, you
Mhm.
start to see everything that happened
Mhm.
right in front of your eyes. And if you can't tell her where her baby is,
Yep.
then she does something to you or whatnot. But anyway,
Right.
um, we were out there, and I don't know if you ever experienced this, it's pretty common. All of a sudden, you're outside, and all of a sudden, the wind stops. There's no more crickets, there's no more sound. Everything feels like an energy shift, and it's
Mhm.
silent. And if you tell somebody that, they're like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound scary. But if you're in that and you notice that all of a sudden everything just went, and I'm thinking maybe that's kind of like passing, a veil is passing over you, or you're passing into a veil, like another a portal or another timeline or something.
I'm sorry. Someone was knocking at work and they held a note up on my window. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
that's
But
okay.
yeah, the timelines.
Like
I have.
when everything goes still, there's no more
Mhm.
wind, there's no more sound, no
Yep.
more crickets, everything. And, it
I
almost
hate that
feels
feeling.
like you're moving into another timeline, or you're passing
Mhm.
through a veil or a portal
Yep.
where something is upon you,
Yep.
but there's an atmospheric change.
Yeah, and I have, as always, everyone always laughs because I always say I have a couple theories on that too, because it's not just one theory. Um, One is, and I've heard from, I wish I could remember his name, but I interviewed him a long time ago. But he used to work in the Florida Everglades, and
Oh,
he would describe that there was one section of the boardwalk that he would experience that. It was just like silence, nothing, no wind, and it just like, and everything looked different. And
hmm,
then he would take another step forward, and he was in a different dimension. He was no
hmm.
longer in the Everglades. And then
That
he would step
is
back, and he would have that silence again. So it's almost like a doorway, is one theory.
right, right.
I've never experienced it that in that aspect, but I have been on paranormal investigations where all of a sudden the room just you road noise goes away from outside the house. The normal sounds of a house just completely disappear, and it's like weird. It's almost scary because you don't know what's happening or why it's happening. But the other theory for that would be everyone's on wavelengths. We have, our timeline is on one wavelength and another one is on another one or dimension. And as the wavelengths cross, that's kind of like almost where like everything gets paused for a millisecond. And that can also be where we can interact with another dimension, but it's just hitting that at that exact time.
I would like to get Big Jim Jones to come on the show because he has such a great story. Do you know him? He's
Name's familiar.
Yeah, he was a cop out in Baltimore area,
Okay.
and he was responding to a call, and he was going by a Civil War battlefield, and the car just went dead. No lights, no nothing.
Okay. Yep. I've heard that too.
And a fog
And
came out and surrounded the car. And
mhm.
now he can hear the war. He hears soldiers, he hears guns and cannons, he hears everything. Can't go
Yep.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Stuck.
Yeah. For me, that would be like a time slip, I would think.
Chris said he's nice. Yeah, it was like, and
Mhm.
then after a while, it just lifted, and then the car was
Mhm.
fine again, and he was able to leave.
Yep. Yeah. Because I had nothing in that aspect, but I had something similar in Gettysburg. I would just go and sit in the battlefield and just sit there. And it would be like all of a sudden I could hear marching
Oh,
around me. And
mhm.
it's a really it's one of those, when that starts to happen, you don't feel like you're in the battlefield modern day. You really do feel like you're there. And
Wow,
it's always, the right moment, the right time, and the perfect conditions for things like that to happen.
interesting. I didn't have a follow up behind that. I have to think of something. What do you like? I love the Civil War battlefield stories,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh.
we have a place not far from us that we go to from time to time. That's an old
Mm-hmm.
Fort Gibson,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it's haunted. I'm in Oklahoma,
Okay.
so and the funny thing about this, just to take a minute, it's clearly an old fort, and yet they built like new houses in between the field hospital and the barracks
Mm-hmm.
and the building over here that was for ammunition, and then the officers. They like put new houses in between all of this,
Yeah.
and that place is haunted like beyond belief. Like
Mm-hmm.
those people there that talk about at night they see soldiers and their ghost
Mm-hmm.
horses going by.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and when you go by the field hospital, a feeling of dread just feels like it's pouring out of the windows upon
Mm-hmm.
you. It's so palpable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And
You'll
it's
like
one of those houses, well, buildings that looks
Mhm.
like you're looking at it and it's looking back at
Then
you.
back at you. Yep. Yeah, you'll like the one book that, because I went with a different publisher for my Civil War books.
Mhm.
I have the Florida Civil War sites coming out, I think, later this year or early next year. But then the next book that they have me working on is Haunted Civil War from North to South. And I'm taking two similar locations, one from the north, one from the south, and I'm putting them against each other as to which one's the most haunted.
Wow.
So like I'm doing battlefields, cemeteries, hotels, plantations, and it's turning out really good.
Carl said, I walked out into the wheat field at Gettysburg. I suddenly could feel pains from
Mm-hmm.
multiple shots. I barely made it out of it.
Yep.
And then he follows it up with, all night back at the hotel, it felt like bruises in every one of
Mm-hmm.
those locations where I was
Yep. Yeah, I've
hit.
heard similar stories, and that's just amazing how you can feel that pain. Someone wanted you to know what they were going through.
Right. That's a very unusual experience,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard it before, but it's not common, and it's interesting. It's someone either, in my opinion, on that one, someone either was there and wanted him to feel what he had felt at the end and wanted to share his experience with somebody, or almost like the spirit took over momentarily his body and was reliving the experience from when it happened.
Well, and the pain lingered. It wasn't just in the moment and then gone. It
Yep.
was ongoing. So that's really an interesting
Yeah.
story, Carl.
Did you have bruises or did it just feel like bruises? That would be my curious question.
Did you actually have bruises, Carl, or it just felt like it? He didn't answer yet.
He'll
But
answer eventually.
yeah, it's fascinating. So, the Civil War stories, there's another place I went to in Missouri, Carthage.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this, he said it felt like reliving the pain.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In Carthage, for a while, this home was controlled by the North as a field hospital and then the South as a field hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy haunted. And inside, they have the big wooden original table that they used, and put soldiers on, and
Mm-hmm.
even amputations and all kinds of things on it is still in there. the it doesn't look really scary and grim in that house, but you can feel it.
Hmm.
It feels thick. The air feels thick. It feels like dread, is what it feels like. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like fear. It feels like dread.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I don't know, which I'd rather have, fear or the feeling of dread.
Right.
It's,
Well, I guess if it feels like dread, maybe the you're not picking up that anything wants to harm you. It's just
yeah.
so sad.
Yeah.
It's a permeating sadness that
Hmm.
thickens the air. It's just really crazy.
Yep.
So that was an interesting location. But I don't know if you want to jump and talk to one about one of your other books or about Florida.
Yeah. Whichever one. I have several and several that are in the works, including a fiction book.
Hi, Linda. So let's hear about what you're writing.
Well, right now I'm partnering with Blake Best. He's a horror writer and actor, and we are taking multiple cases that I've worked on, and we're fictionalizing them into a horror book.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So I finished my first. Actually, the first book is written, um, but he's going through and adding his horror spin to it. So keep those fingers crossed. We're seeking a publisher right now for that. So we're sending those out. But we got it's I would say we're 90% done, and we've actually had some people interested in that on the movie side.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a 3-part series with that by the time we're done with it. The other book that I'm working on right now, it's actually an 8-book series on haunted Texas ghost towns.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yep. So, and then we have all the 4 Florida books and the 2 Nevada books that I've written.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that sounds fascinating. And, it's interesting when you get some interest in making it into a movie, but okay, I didn't want to say anything grim, but I'm going to say
Yeah.
something grim. The
Yep.
people that I've dealt with, a lot of times they like give you an options contract and
Yep.
then they hold on to your project for up to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can still at that point say, well, we never got the
Yeah.
funding. We never got, and
That's
you
why we
just,
haven't signed anything yet, and we're not going to until we like what we see.
right. It's really, you got to sort of be careful for that.
Yeah.
And then the people that I knew that did get a movie made, um, and and I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't believe in the paranormal is
Mm-hmm.
because in the beginning it'll say based on real events
Yep.
or based on a true story or worse yet,
Mm-hmm.
inspired by a real
Yep.
story.
Yeah.
And none of that really means that the whole thing is true.
Mm-mm. No. And
None of
from
that.
writing this, we've learned that because even though, like my being attacked, it's about my experience as I think it's 4 different cases that we've put together in these books, and so it's based on real events, but we're embellishing a lot.
And they do that, and you have to expect that they do that.
Yeah.
But, on the bright side, now we're talking business. On the bright side, when the movie comes out, you can always do all the talk shows saying,
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you what really happened.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
people are interested in what really happened. But I think a creepy story, I like the old ghost and horror films. It can
Mm-hmm.
be creepy without being quite so
Right.
um,
Yeah.
explicit as they are today with everything and then added in. And um, so you have to expect that they're going to do that. We've got Carol
Mm-hmm.
saying, I was in eastern France in the Argonne forest in the remains of the trenches after hiking out about a quarter mile. I could hear the sounds of the battle, shell strikes, and bullets whizzing by. Carl also is a gifted person.
Mm-hmm.
We call him the Bigfoot guy, but he's had all kinds of experiences. He's not limited to Bigfoot. On my way back out, there was an eroded part of the trench where a shell must have hit in 1918, and a femur was protruding from the ground. This was in
Oh,
1988. Well,
hmm.
that's ooh.
That's the beginning of a horror movie right there.
Right. There's another one.
Yeah.
Get your pencil and take notes.
Mhm.
You like that Japanese forest, so,
Yeah.
the Japanese suicide forest, or something
Hmm.
like that. Something
Hmm.
really
Yeah.
awful. The stories that come out of there are just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And
And
terrifying.
I don't want to dismiss anyone's stories because my saying in the paranormal field is their experience and their pain is real to them. But in my research, I have never been there, but people I've talked to have been there say that they walk in and they don't feel anything. That it's just a
Really.
bunch of hype and a bunch of stories to scare people. So I want to go there and
Well,
visit, see if I pick up on what they do or what they
you
don't
and
pick
I
up.
know, you and I know that these locations don't perform like
Mm-hmm.
on
Exactly.
request. You
Mm-hmm.
can walk into someplace 10 times and nothing happens. But the 11th time,
Yep. Yep.
if you're a
Yep.
little sensitive, you can pick up something there. But if you're not, it just seems like
Mm-hmm.
something completely out of the blue, out of left field.
Yep. Yeah. I know there's this one antique store in Florida that my mom and I would go to. And my mom's sensitive as well. But she wasn't seeing anything, wasn't picking up on anything. And every time we would go, I would have to leave the store early because there was this little short old man that was a spirit that just kept following me around the store. I'd be over there talking to him, like, please leave me alone. My mom's like, who are you talking to?
You know, we talk about that in the book as well in Help Me, I'm Haunted. And
Mm-hmm.
Carl, by the way, is also in the book. And he wrote beautifully for us as well. Help Me, I'm Haunted is on Amazon
Mm-hmm.
in paperback and Kindle if anybody would like to get a copy. There, I think that that was the best effort that we could make at giving people good advice. We
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of letters, we get a lot of questions, and we tried to tackle the different elements of the kind of questions that we get, what kind of hauntings you might be dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big chapters was haunted objects,
Yep.
and that is a very common thing.
Yep.
And antique stores.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talking about it. I like antique stores. I
Mm-hmm.
also like antique stores. But sometimes there again, you can feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
I went into some antique stores that I heard in advance that they were haunted. You know,
Yep. Yeah, there's
so
one in downtown Vegas that I never got to, but I wanted to, and I can't remember the name of it.
oh, interesting. I went to a haunted antique store by that house in Carthage, Missouri, that I was
Mm-hmm.
just talking about. And that was a two-story antique store, and they had all kinds of things in there. And I write about it in the book, but I can go outside and breathe and close my eyes, and then I'll walk in,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can sense things. And it led me to the back of the store into a cornered area, but that doesn't really mean that that's the only place that there's activity in
Right.
there. But you know, if people want to try that, if you think you feel something, if you think, go outside, get some air, close your eyes,
Yep.
feel, normal, and then walk in and check again and see if you feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, here's Carl. Carl, we should have just brought you on. You should see Fort Duamont. Am I saying that correctly? Duamont?
Yeah, I'm
At
not sure.
Bergen. There are windows where gun ports used to be with the remains of 350,000 unknown soldiers. The scene of the piles of bones haunts me. Okay. Where is that at actually?
Yeah, I've never heard of that place. That would be interesting.
Is that someplace in Europe, Carl? He'll answer.
Yeah. Reading his comments, I feel like I don't travel enough.
Yeah, well, yeah. But there's so many interesting places.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like someplace in Europe, but we could be wrong. Um, just fascinating, though.
Mm-hmm.
Carl gets around. But really interesting. So the haunted antiques, and people bring something home and something starts up, and that's something else that we talk about in the book. If you are at a haunted location, never bring home anything,
Mm-hmm.
even a pretty rock.
Yep.
Don't do it. Just
Yep.
don't. Just leave it
Mm-hmm.
all alone. You're just better off to just leave it all
Yep.
alone. There are too
Yeah.
many stories about people, and there's people that bring things home from places that they didn't know that there was any stories of hauntings or anything,
Mm-hmm.
and and you
Yeah.
find out later.
Yep. I have a brick from the Goldfield Hotel, like a full size brick that the
Okay.
owner before he passed, the old previous owner before he passed, gave it to me when we were up there visiting. And some strange things have happened since I brought that home many years ago.
Oh wow. So where's that hotel at? She's can't think of
Come
it
on,
right now.
Carl, we're waiting.
Carl says, I do get around. Now I hear the Beach Boys in my head.
Yep.
I get around, I get around. You sure do. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Sometimes it's very little things that have attachments. Sometimes you can see why it does,
Mm-hmm.
like a secondhand piano,
Yep.
someone's wedding dress.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are extremely personal.
Yep.
That makes sense that they might have an attachment, but it really could be anything.
Right. Yep. And I mean, and it might not even be the object you brought home. It could be something that attaches itself to you
Right.
while you're
It
in the
could be
store
something
too.
that just attach itself to you.
Yep.
Yeah. Piggyback.
No, Carl doesn't want to answer.
Well, yeah, he, Carl's just being Carl. That's what he does. We only have about 8 minutes left. So if you want to talk about um, anything you've got coming up or appearances or anything like that, go ahead and let everybody know what you're doing and where you're going to be.
No major appearances coming up quite yet. I do have a lot of things in the works. I do know several of the local Central Texas libraries and locations, including a museum here. I'm still waiting for exact dates before I announce those. Ghost Education 101, starting next year, we're going to start hosting almost like retreats where it's a limited number, not a big convention, just a small number of people that we get together. I wish I could get more information on that too, but we're still nailing down the details. But every Wednesday, I go live on Ghost Education 101 with my co-host.
And how would people find that?
It's Ghost Education 101 on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. Carl says, what was the question? He fits right in over here. He also said, I was on a 6-hour flight sitting next to Bruce Johnston on, he means from the Beach Boys.
Yep.
And sang with them on the plane. Wow.
You do get around, Carl.
You do get around Carl. You're going to be Carl, the get around guy.
Actually, if Carl reaches out to me for Ghost Education 101, we do have a cryptid panel where we're going to discuss Bigfoot and cryptids coming up in a couple of weeks, and we have one seat left for a guest if he's interested.
Carl, you just got invited. I'll make sure that he can get in touch with you because he really might like that. He's in Arizona. Would your panel, do they have to be there in person or?
No, it's completely live just like this. And we go live at 9 p.m. Eastern and I think it's in about 2 or 3 weeks out. But I can get him the date if he reaches out to me.
Carl, you're invited.
Yeah, next week, I know if Reverend Shawn was on here, he might not like this, but we do have a presentation on Ouija or not Ouija next week on Ghost Education 101.
Interesting topic. You
Yep.
know, some people say it's benign. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
And that's what we do. We did this presentation at Phantasm in Orlando 2 years in a row and had a huge crowd come out for it. I do it with Joe Frankie. He trained with Ed and Lorraine Warren. He takes the not to Ouija side, and I take the to Ouija side.
Carl says, "Ooh, I am in."
Definitely message me, Carl, and we'll get you on the show.
You got to get around Carl. He's going to be with you.
I'm going to promote him that way.
Lots of stories. He's seen 13 Bigfoot.
Okay, cool. Perfect. He'll be perfect for that show.
Right. Because he could be out and driving around. He sees the signs that will make him think that there might be something. That takes us back to the beginning of our conversation, where it's like you see things flat, and then all of a sudden you understand what you're saying,
and what you're looking for,
and identify it everywhere, and you see it on a whole nother level. Yeah, so that's kind of him in a way. Carol, I'm so glad you were here. That was so cool that you had a lot of great comments, and now you got invited to be a part of her, would you call it a conference or?
Yeah, panel discussion. Yeah.
Panel discussion.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's the whole purpose. We've been doing Ghosted since COVID. And the whole purpose of it is to educate new and seasoned investigators or anybody who's just interested in it. And we rotate between special guest presentations, like we had Lloyd Arbach on last Wednesday with a presentation.
Nice.
And then we do a panel discussion. So we rotate between them every week, and except for the month of December, we take December off.
Nice. I'm going to put the link in the chat for the GoFundMe for Sharon Whittington. And again, thank you everybody that does contribute. This is just a really sad and a very bad, difficult situation. So we appreciate. Oh, I put it out under UFO Paranormal.
Oops.
Yikes. I'm supposed to change it to ours. It's going out all over the universe now.
It just went everywhere.
Okay. And want to thank you for being with us today. I really enjoyed it. Want to thank Joe Montaldo, Michelle DeRoche, UPRN Talk Radio, 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM Gulf Coast. All of our listeners, we absolutely love you. We enjoy you and wish everybody a great night and a great weekend. And thanks for joining us. And next week, I'm going to have Trish Moe. And she's always a really interesting guest. And we can get into some very strange and crazy stories with her as well. She's like another one, sort of like you. There's a story behind the story and the story behind that story.
Oh my God. I have, after 35 plus years experience, I have stories behind stories.
Right. Absolutely. So thank you so much. And everybody stay tuned because Carrie Lynn Shellhorn is coming up with Spirit Switchboard right here on UPRN. Thank you so much and have a great weekend. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.